Hello friends, let us talk about Unit 5 Testing for Specialized Environment Agile Testing. Agile testing is the pattern or strategy that follows your Agile development process. The best practices of Agile development process can say Agile development takes an incremental approach. Now, what is incremental approach? Recall your software engineering principles or recall your incremental approach comes after your waterfall life cycle. Incremental life cycle was like iterative or incrementally growth. So first the communication took place, then communication requirements, then in the third increment the communication requirements, then modeling, and so on. So it happens in an increment manner. It goes on increasing week by week, day by week, for example. The same way, agile testing also includes as testing procedure in an incremental manner. Agile works very fast. In agile development, testing needs to be happen again and again. In case of there is a change in a normal or in a classical life cycle, traditional life cycle, the HCM, the software change management, has to be approved. The build has to be coded. The patch has to build up or coded. Then the test process. Then the quality assurance team. And so the patch is released in the next version. It takes much time that costs your company. But in agile development process, the change, when talked about the change is documented. Soon the change documented, the coding begins, the testing begins. Each and every teams are busy with their work. They're loaded with different works, with multiple projects. And tests are prioritized or given importance according to the user story. Now, this user story is not a story of a small children, a child story like once upon a time they were king of the jungle, a lion king who was waiting for his court where all the animals would present. Not that. This user story is a tool of an agile software development to capture the description of a software feature. That means who wants this product, where it's been used, and why. This kind of story is being drafted and the document is given to development to the testing. Testers aim to get through many tests as they goes in iteration, adding automated test tools so that they can test thoroughly and there will be no more backlogs. Then we have, of course, the test comes first. So when you create user story, the copy goes to a customer. The customer is verified with your user story and it becomes your acceptance criteria. Now, this drives testing and validations which agile test methodology use. Now we use the Scrum. So what is Scrum? Scrum is a facilitator who arranges daily meetings, tracks a backlog of work to be done, record decision, measure progress against the backlog. How actually the Scrum works, the product is broken down into a set of manageable and understandable. So before I say what is Scrum, the Scrum is an approach in a general agile method, but it focuses on managing iterative development rather than technical approaches. And it works in a three phases. First planning phase, then Scrum sprint is a planning unit. It uses a sprint and then defines upon the number of weeks it takes. Then there is a Scrum Master, then the Scrum Works, and so on. So basically, we'll study about the Scrum. Then these are the following methods used. The first is test-driven approach. In the test-driven approach, it starts with the test. creating the user story, which was written by unit test. Then this user story, finally you write the code until the unit test passes. Okay. Then this is typically used on unit and components test. That means unit and incremental test. The incremental component is arranged in an incremental way. It's like a bottom up, top bottom up approach, top down approach, or sandwich approach, which can be done with automatic testing tool. Yes, unit test will depend to component testing can be used of different tools. Then we have and later TD, that means test driven development, make sure the features they're working is should be defined in the user story. They are not working on in different story. Sometimes the overload of the work, it can be happen that feature of is different and user story is different. It should not be happen. Make sure that what you are doing is focused on your work. Acceptance test driven development. That means it is similar to test driven development. The acceptance criteria comes from the customer, but it starts with the customer input on functionality as a functions to be implemented. Now, this type of development begins by discussing how the product will be used, who will use, where it will be used, and how it will be used. All these questions have been answered. So you write a user acceptance test, then you can write the code until it passes the test. Of course, yes. Later, it verifies the product functions what the user expects. That means again it has to go through number of tests. And later it has to go from behavior driven development, which is the test first agile practices that provide. Its goal is to help guide development, decrease rework. That means not again and again. There was error. Again the changes happen. Again you did. No. That will decrease your rework and increase the flow of your work. So without focusing on your internal implementation, the behavior-driven development are the business-facing scenario that attempts to describe the behavior of the story or the feature or the capability. I define the user story that I want the remote control or automated door on and off. Now you define the features, the capability, keeping the user requirements in mind as a user perspective. So you will have a user story, but the user story needs to answer in business terms. This features is being developed. So BTT tests are included in user stories as scenarios or specifications. Next is exploratory testing is a style of testing that lets tester follow the intuitions. Now, which means I wish I could have done that. Again, it's about discovery, investigation, and learning. The name suggests the testers exploring the application to identify the potential cases. It's important the tester understand the different persons that are likely to use for the applications. There would be bugs which are missed, but this can be explored in exploratory testing. Then we have a session-based testing. In a session-based testing, it is similar to exploratory testing, but there are little more structure in session-based testing. Instead of figuring out what you are testing, you keep your goal in mind that yes, you have to test a hidden bug which is inside the code.